So it is now officially over. The need and desire for change is upon us. President Biden has too much to deal with, and there's a disaster coming. That is what we're being told. Because right now, President Biden has a massive problem on his hands, and him and his administration don't know how to solve this issue. Now, we're going to address what's coming, and this is going to impact hundreds of millions of people here in the United States, but it's also going to impact millions of people looking to come to the United States as well. So again, a lot of stuff's happening right now, more problems than solutions, but at this time, I want to address the real crises that we are facing. So all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So there are multiple problems that we are facing here in the United States. One of these problems has to do with our government. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's always a problem. Yes and no. The problem today is that our government has had done very little over the past couple of years. One of the things that turned into a massive issue, and we are now starting to feel the brunt of it, is that we are getting too many people into the United States, and we do not have enough resources to provide for all these people. For instance, we see thousands and thousands of people enter into the United States illegally every single day. The problem is cities and states don't have the funding and resources to shelter these people, to provide any type of food and nutrition, or even simple medical needs. So we just don't have it. We don't have the funding. Well, the governor of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, he decided he was going to do something about this. Here's why this is turning into a problem for President Biden. GOP Governor Greg Abbott decided he signed a border bill that makes entering Texas illegally a state crime. Well, it is hard to enter a state illegally if you're already in the United States. Okay? But if you enter into Texas from Mexico illegally, that would be a state crime, and you would be punished for it. Yes, this is true. And we will address the bill. I have it right here in front of me. We'll go over this. This is a statement from just yesterday. But before I do that, I want to show you this, because the Mexican president is not happy. The Mexican president says he'll fight Texas migrant crossing law. He is very unhappy about this. Now, I want to read you just a little bit of this article from The Hill. It says Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador pledged to fight a new Texas law allowing state authorities to prosecute migrants entering the U.S. from Mexico. Border issues previously were left to federal authorities, but the inclusion of state and local police contributes to rising tensions between Mexico and the U.S. as Congress struggles to negotiate border security policy. The big issue here is that Texas has been asking for additional assistance. You have to change the border law. The majority of illegal immigrants are coming in through Texas. That's what we're seeing. We're also seeing some increase to theft. We're seeing some increases to simple problems in Texas as well, and some of those are attributed to illegal immigrants coming in. Oh, here's what I can tell you. We are not just facing this crisis in Texas. It's a crisis in Texas, in California, in New York, in Illinois, here in Washington State. There's many issues. Okay? Here's the problem. A disaster is coming, according to reports. They're saying that President Biden is in over his head. It's a massive problem, and he has decided to simply put this on the back burner and hope it goes away. The Republican Party has said, no, this is not going away. We are going to block any bill that you put in front of us until we see an answer on border security. Well, that's where we're at today. We are hoping for additional border security to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't coming into the United States and getting all the resources that the needy, the people that are just down on their luck, that they are paying into from taxes and things like that. That's supposed to be for them. Well, here's what I can tell you. This is going to turn into a bigger issue than we are anticipating. And the reason for this is simple. The Biden administration needs to pass some type of bill to ensure that Ukraine gets some funding, right? That Israel gets some funding. Gaza gets some humanitarian aid that they've been looking for months. In order for them to do that, the Republican Party says, we're going to put all your needs up against border security. That's the thing that's most pressing at this time, and that is something that the Republican Party wants to be able to campaign on in this coming election year. Well, putting those two priorities up against each other, according to multiple reports, they believe that Republicans are going to win the next election simply because more people are looking at the crises here at home, saying that this should be prioritized, not stuff overseas. Okay, well, I want to show you this. In New York, okay, and Illinois as well, they used to have a right to shelter. You could stay in a place if you had nowhere else to go. Well, New York's right to shelter no longer exists for thousands of migrants. You can't just stay in one place. You have a 60-day stay maximum. A 60-day. That means 2 months tops. You can stay in one shelter, and then they send you out. Well, guess what's happening? You see people like this lined up outside the streets, okay, in the cold. They're all wearing coats. This guy has some luggage. They have nowhere else to go. But there's a 60-day stay. There's limited shelter and a 60-day stay. That's a problem. But it doesn't just stop there. According to the New York City Mayor, Adams, he says the migrant crisis will lead to extremely painful budget cuts, and he does not expect the federal government to help. And this is from a couple days ago. I told you this, that New York and Illinois have both been asking the federal government to step up, provide additional assistance to their states and to their cities. They can't do it. The federal government does not have the funding to do it. This is why this is turning into a major disaster. And some say this disaster is coming sooner rather than later. The expectation is come January 1st, we're going to see some major changes if the federal government does not decide to step up, provide more assistance to these states, and also support Texas. Okay? Here's the reason why. We are now starting to see some of these shelters become overrun. They are run down. They're dirty. They're sometimes disgusting. People don't want to stay in there because it is so dirty. It's not being cleaned. People are not being treated as equals. Well, guess what happened just recently? This is a story from yesterday. You can see right here, December 18th, 2023. A 5-year-old at city's largest migrant shelter dies. 3 more children are hospitalized. Yeah, 3 more are hospitalized. This is something that we are about to see more of. And I just want to be very clear on this. When you are trying to come to the United States to have a better life, this is what you're given. You're given this. You go to this shelter, it's dirty, it's disgusting, it's run down. You don't get the things that you need, but this is your only option. This is what you're given. This is what Democrats are doing. This is what we're getting. Republicans are saying, and again, I'm not trying to just back Republicans on this, because Republicans are going to make it a little bit harder to get into the United States. But at the same time, those that do get into the United States are going to have a better life. Going to have, much more stuff waiting for them. They're going to have a better future. They're not going to be stuck with, here's a shelter for you. You get 60 days and then get out. That's not what they're wanting. They're wanting to make it harder to get into the U.S., but in the meantime, it's going to provide additional assistance and services and resources to the people here in the United States, citizens that are down on their luck. So I just wanted to explain that to you because, according to reports, President Biden has a massive problem on his hands. And him and his administration don't know how to fix it, especially 1 year before a presidential election. Because if President Biden comes out and he makes it harder and he goes with the Republican proposal of making it a little harder to get into the U.S., having asylum limits, but then that turns out to be a good thing in the future, that's going to destroy Democrats for this foreseeable future. So that's one of the reasons why they're saying President Biden has a lot of problems on his hands. Because how does he fix this without bowing down to Republicans and doing what they are asking for? He can't. So that's part of the problem, especially in a time when we cannot just throw additional money at the border. We have to change the policies. That's the big issue. So we're going to see what happens moving forward, but what I can tell you, disaster is likely coming, because what we are hearing is that the Biden administration cannot go with a Republican proposal, because if they do, Democrats will lose in the upcoming election. And as of right now, Republicans hold the majority in the House of Representatives. They're only 2 seats away from holding the majority in the Senate, and the presidency is really up for grabs. So we're going to see what happens in the near future. I promise I'll be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All I ask is one thing. Go ahead, click that subscribe button so you never miss an update, and I'll see you guys on the next one.